Well, okay, mostly this is for Paul and Bob and anybody else who wants to see it. And this goes back to a visit that we had, two of us, back in June 2001. There's a view of Katahdin looking over the dock at Daicey Pond. It was a pretty clear day when we got there. There's Katahdin in the background, and there is a park ranger on site at Daicey Pond. They're not there all the time. They do move around the park, but we'll look and you can see that they do have a cabin there. Here's the campsite that we were in 2000, both in 2019 and 2021. This is the two-person loon. I think it's number 7, and here's just our gear. You have to bring everything in. You want to have a good cooler if you're going to be there for a couple of days. You want a bucket because you're going to be washing dishes, and you'll see the firewood, and you'll figure that all out as you go. You can see that you're cooking outside. We have a really old school propane cooker. And we've got our own water, jugs of water, bug spray, paper towels, a couple of glasses, all the usual stuff. But, don't overdo it. You have to lug everything in, and you're going to lug everything out. And a couple of camp chairs are good because although the camp chairs, the two that are in the cabin are nice, there's some more comfortable ones. This is just a view of the campsite, and looking out across the pond. It was kind of a cloudy, low overcast day, and you really couldn't see the mountain itself. Was a little bit hidden at sometimes, and that's our canoe that we rented for the whole 3 days, and we just pull it up at our campsite. And you can see just pretty close to the shore, and it's a pretty nice view. And if you could hear the background noises, you'd hear a lot of loons calling. And so we did get a fire going in the fireplace, in the fire pit. And don't bring any firewood. You're using all Maine locally firewood, and that is to ensure that there's no invasive species coming on. I have a new GoPro cam, so I was kind of playing around with it, and I thought I'd take it down into the water and see what happens. So this next view is just wading out into the water at the campsite. It's probably only a foot or two deep, and you can see me dunk the camera. And I think there's a couple of shots of minnows, maybe. I don't know. You're starting to see where our canoe is. And this is Daicey Pond. And that's my rig for a stabilizing, so that you can stand up in that old town canoe and fly cast. And there we go. So it's about a foot deep. I don't know if there's any minnows in the water that I saw here. And a couple of underwater shots. Maybe not. Natural brookies, square-tailed trout, and there's there's me, and square-tailed trout in this pond, and that's what's there. And fly fishing only. We'll talk about that later. Just to look around. And then back up on the shore. This is on the other side of the park. This is Roaring Brook, and it's on the I guess that would be the east side of the park. And we went over there for just a little bit of a day trip. Probably takes on the park roads. They're all gravel, but it takes a while to get over there. Maybe half an hour, 45 minutes. And if you are staying at the park, you have access to that. So here we are the next morning. The sun come out. I have making some coffee. My fishing buddy there, my brother, is still asleep, and I got up and I started making a pot of coffee, and just thought that was a nice shot. Got a little fire going in the background. Well, what happens next is pretty interesting. So it's a nice sunny day. Sun comes up. It's right there in the middle of June that we were there. Temperatures were nice. The water temperatures were still not cold by any means, but they were still cool. And somebody's asking if we caught any fish. No. But here was the interesting part. I heard some rustling, and look what was right behind our cabin. This is what I would guess is a last year's, probably born last year. And back in the old farm days, I'd call that a heifer. And I suspect that this moose probably walks through this campground quite a bit. And right behind the cabin. Now, what you don't know is that I'm tapping on the side of the cabin and calling to Bob and saying, "Hey, there's a moose out here. You ought to come see this." He was still sleeping. I'm not sure if he got a look at it or not. So, and by the way, I'm shooting this all with a iPhone 6S, and I'm editing it with Screencast-O-Matic. And all right, so there it goes, wandering off. So I'm going to do a little bit of a tour, and I hope I get this right, so I have many apologies, but there is the ranger station, and Andrew and Charity, they are not there together. They are there at different times, day off, a few days on, a few days off. And just they're sort of in the middle of the camp of the site, and this is where you pick up your kayak paddles and the life jackets. They got kayaks and canoes, and you can see it is fly fishing only. So I've walked down at cabin number 1. This is a quintessential cabin. This is cabin number 1. Just everybody get a quick look, and you can see everybody's got gear. And by the way, I did have permission to shoot all these from the residents and who were staying there. And that's cabin number, what it looks like by number 2. And I think I swing around on the outside and take a look at the view from number 2. I did this so that, I could remember what these different cabins look like. And there's the view out of facing over towards the mountains of cabin number 2. We're going to go right down the line. There's number 3, Tamarack. And I didn't go inside. It's, somebody was staying there. They were off for the day. So they had all their stuff inside, but there's the view from number 3. Then you walk down the trail, and I'm looking back. I think that's towards number 3. And then I look back at number 5, and the big boulder behind number 5. That's called Mount View. And you can see somebody staying there. This is really close to the water. You can see how close to the water it is on the left-hand side of the screen. And everybody's brought with them a couple of extra chairs. And you can see it's really tucked in there. A lot of people, or a few people, have made comments that there's not a lot of room to spread out, but it is there's a reason why it's called Mountain View, and there's the fire pit. The next thing you come across too is the rescue craft for the pond that only the rangers use, of course, and it's the Look at that, it says not for rental. And it is, it's on skids, a little aluminum boat. So it's right there. And then cabin number 6, if I got my numbers right, it has a ramp to get into. It's right next to the parking lot. And you move up, and it has access. Same as all the other cabins, it just has a ramp. And here is the firewood for all the wood that's burned. Now there's some softwood and there's some hardwood. And this was the wood for outside. And this is where we stayed, and we've stayed here for a couple of years, in different years. And it's number 7, Loon Lodge. And that's where we saw the moose earlier, so you can see what the campsite looks like again. And you see our gear. Nothing special here. We've already sort of been down, but it's a sunny day, so I just included this in it's a good view. And if you like the sounds, it's great. Next one down the line, I guess it's number 8. And it's kind of up on a little bit of a knoll, and it's set quite a ways back. Now, what I'd recommend that you do is you look at the Baxter or Baxter Park website, and you can look at the Daicey Pond campground. Now we're continuing down. We quickly went through number 9, and now we're jumping down to cabin number 10. It's a little bit of a walk. You have to go over this bridge, and it's the furthest away from probably everything. A little bit more remote. The other thing is that it's the newest cabin. You can see it in the distance, so it's a little bit of a push. Not a long walk, it's probably a 4 or 5 minute walk, easy walk, gravel trail across the bridge, and you come to the cabin, which we'll see. And again, I didn't go inside. There's nature at peace. This is a newer cabin. The other cabins are older, and some are older and historic. And you see quite a ways back, and I suspect that's because in the state of Maine, the shoreland zoning is that you're just not building. And here it is. You're probably wondering where you go. Well, here you go. And then there's many of those around the site. So I'm going to finish it up there with the most important thing, as you can see. And that's it. You're all set. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye.